Alright, hi guys, this is Tom here from Fine Form Physio. Following on my previous video about preventative health, I thought I'd take the time to talk about how this applies in the workplace, mainly work ergonomics. Now, this is never really emphasized enough in physio consults, and it's a bit of a shame, but it's really important to prevent things before they happen. And today, I thought I'd give you guys a couple of tips and clear any frequently asked questions and whatnot. So given how many hours each of us spend at work, it's definitely worth the time and effort into designing our workplace effectively. Often with a few minor ergonomic changes, we can ease the body of stresses and strains, which can, of course, prevent aches and pains. Now, we'll start off with a working sitting desk, and we will go through three basic keys: posture, chairs, and the working surface. Good posture is required for neck and back pain prevention, and it's really important that the sustained positions that we sit in at work for multiple hours is advantageous. So the main thing is just where the head sits and relative to the body. So for example, when I'm sitting in this kind of position, you can see my head is sitting relatively square on my shoulders and on top of my torso. With every inch of forward movement, it can actually cause roughly 5 kilos extra strain on your shoulders. So the further forward your head sits, the worse obviously it is. So now we'll be talking about chairs. Chairs are one of the most essential equipments we have at the workplace. Now, as good as the chair is, it must be suited to the user. Examples of this are height. So, obviously, you can see right now, the height is far too high for me. My feet should be placed firmly on the ground, like so. You can see my knees are roughly 90 degrees, which means that not only am I taking weight from my bottom, I'm also taking weight from my feet, which will help increase my base of support. Back support. As you can see with this chair, it has a lovely lumbar support here. The most important thing to notice is this back support is not completely perpendicular to the chair. Now the reason for this is if it were, it would force me in a forwards position, which then puts extra strain on my neck. So a 5 to 10 degree length backwards allows me to allow my back to contour perfectly to the chair. Next, we're going to be focusing on the work surface. So here I have set up the work surface, and a couple of things I want you to notice is we have 3 clear zones. This folder is what we call the usual space. So this is where we have items like the keyboard, mouse, stationery, documents that we access quite frequently. And everything in this realm is what we use all the time. So this is what we call the occasional space. Now, as a consequence, as the name suggests, we're only using these items occasionally. Sticky tape, staplers, phones. And the last region is the non-working area. So as a consequence, I can't really get to this area, and the point of that is things like printers and scanners belong there so that I get up, move around. So, whilst these guidelines are great, the most important thing to take away from today is that using these guidelines to set up your workplace is great, but the key thing to take away is that we get up frequently, every 45 to 60 minutes, to walk around, stretch, move around, because as humans, we're not designed to sit or stand for 8 to 10 hours a day. And that leads me on to another frequently asked question. A stationary desk better or a sit-to-stand desk better? And the answer really is not that black and white. Mainly, as I mentioned, we're not designed to be sitting or standing for long periods of time. So the most important thing is to break up the sitting and standing, if you can, to allow for more functional movement. Now, principles of a standing desk are very similar to that of a sitting desk. The main thing is to have the computer screen at roughly an arm's length. Second thing is that the top of the computer screen is roughly at the level of my eye. And the third thing is obviously when you're standing, you want to be standing square, not slouching to one side or the other, and having your head roughly on top of your center of gravity. Now, as I mentioned previously, the main thing to take away from today is the ability to have variance, because if you're seated or standing for too long, it's never going to be beneficial for you. So follow these guidelines, use them as guidelines, they're not rules. They're just little tips to help you reduce the aches and pains that you may feel on a day-to-day basis. However, if you do have any further questions, feel free to contact any of the physios at Fine Form Physio. Little aids and extra things that can help us are photos of your current work desk set up, where printers are, where tools and documents are kept, just to give us a better idea and a visual imprint on how you work. Any questions, give us a call, let us know how you're going.